I retired peacefully with a savings of $400,000 that my husband left behind. For the past 8 months, my daughter didn't call once, didn't check in, didn't invite me to my granddaughter's birthday. I was erased until that night. 10 p.m., the phone lit up. Mom, we need to talk about money. Not, I miss you, Mom. Not, are you okay, Mom? Just money. That's when I realized I'm no longer her mother. I'm just an ATM machine. I'm truly grateful you're here with me today. Before we continue, tell me where are you watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments. I love seeing how far this community reaches. If any part of this story feels familiar, stay with me. It may hit closer than you expect. And just a quick note, some parts of this story are dramatized for entertainment and educational purposes. Any resemblance to real people or places is purely coincidental. At 62 years old, I thought I understood what it meant to be a mother. 8 months of silence from my daughter had taught me otherwise. It was a Tuesday night in October when everything changed, the kind of evening that settles into your bones with its ordinariness. I sat in my living room in Atlanta, the television murmuring something I wasn't really watching, a cup of chamomile tea cooling on the side table. The autumn chill was creeping through the windows, and I'd pulled an old Afghan over my lap. The photograph on the mantel caught the lamplight Robert's smile frozen in time at our anniversary dinner. My husband had passed away 3 years ago from a heart attack, sudden and absolute, leaving me with $400,000 and a warning I'd been too stubborn to heed. Don't let her take advantage of your big heart. I should have listened. My phone buzzed. The sound shattered the quiet like dropped glass. I reached for it with the kind of hope I'd learned to distrust, the kind that came from being a mother who still believed her child might remember she existed. My daughter's name glowed on the screen. My heart did something stupid. It leaped. 8 months. 243 days since I'd last heard from her. 8 months since that dinner where I'd tried to tell her about my book club, about anything that might bridge the distance growing between us. She'd spent the entire meal checking her phone, nodding without hearing leaving before dessert. But she was reaching out now. Maybe she'd realized. Maybe she missed me. I opened the message. Mom, we need to talk about money. Not, I miss you. Not, how are you? Just money. I stared at the words until they blurred. The phone felt heavy in my hand, weighted with something worse than disappointment. This was confirmation of a truth I'd been avoiding. The maternal instinct is a funny thing. Even as my heart cracked, it still whispered, she needs help. She's my daughter. This is what mothers do. But another voice, quieter and far more honest, was beginning to speak up. It sounded a lot like Robert's. I thought back to that last dinner, really let myself remember it. How I'd dressed up, picked the restaurant she'd mentioned loving, how I'd practiced conversation starters in the car, how I'd left alone the dessert I'd ordered sitting untouched because she'd had somewhere more important to be. She always had somewhere more important to be, until she needed money. The pattern was there if I let myself see it. The calls that only came with requests, the promises to visit that evaporated like morning fog, the way her voice changed warmer, sweeter when she was about to ask for something. When had I stopped being her mother and started being her automatic teller machine? I set the phone down on the coffee table screen, still glowing with those 9 words. The television droned on. The tea had gone cold. Outside my window, Atlanta slept unaware that something in me was quietly breaking apart and reforming into something harder. I wouldn't sleep tonight. I already knew that. At 10:47 p.m., I stood up. The Afghan fell to the floor. I walked past Robert's photograph. I could almost hear him saying, "I told you so." Except he'd been too kind for that. I went to my home office, the small room where I used to help her with homework, where I'd taught her to balance a checkbook. I opened my laptop. The screen's glow illuminated my face in the dark room, and for the first time in 8 months, maybe longer, I started counting. Not days, not disappointments, money. Every dollar, every favor, every time I'd said yes when wisdom screamed no. If she wanted to talk about money, then we'd talk about money. But she wasn't going to like the conversation. The cursor blinked in cell A1 like a heartbeat, steady, patient, waiting for me to find the courage to begin. It was 10:52 p.m. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling slightly. Not from cold. From something else entirely. I clicked New Document. The pristine white grid appeared empty boxes stretching into infinity. At the top, I typed Williams Family Accounting. The words looked clinical, like I was preparing a business report instead of documenting the slow erosion of my relationship with my own child. Maybe that's exactly what I needed: distance objectivity numbers that couldn't be argued with. In column A, date. Column B, description. Column C, amount. Numbers don't lie. Numbers don't make excuses. Numbers just are. I started with the wedding. September 2.5 years ago. Wedding expenses, $28,000. The venue with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. It's my dream wedding, Mom. You're the only one who can help. Her eyes bright with certainty that I'd say yes, because I always said yes. I'll pay you back, she'd whispered during our mother-daughter dance. I promise. I pressed enter. The number sat there black and absolute. Next October 2 years ago, house down payment, $30,000. She'd shown me the listing on her phone, the 3-bedroom with the big backyard. Just a loan, Mom. We'll start paying you back once we're settled. Enter. April 18 months ago, business loan for boutique, $12,000. This is an investment. She'd said, enthusiasm, infectious business plans spread across my kitchen table. I'll pay you back with interest. This is going to change everything. The boutique that barely lasted a year. The investment never mentioned again. Enter. Smaller amounts followed. Car repairs. Emergencies never quite explained. The credit card payment when things got temporarily tight. $5,000 here, $3,000 there. Promises that evaporated like morning dew. $8,000 in miscellaneous support gone. Then came the hardest calculation. I pulled up my calendar from 2 years ago. 8 months I'd spent caring for my granddaughter while my daughter built her boutique dream. 8 months of my life given freely, because that's what grandmothers do. 1,840 hours. Professional childcare in Atlanta ran about $20 an hour. Feeding, changing, soothing, teaching first words. Teaching her to say mama so she'd know her own mother's name. My fingers moved. 1,840 hours times $20 equals $36,800. The number made my breath catch. $36,800. For work I'd done out of love, never expecting payment, until my daughter's text message had reduced our entire relationship to a transaction. I stared at the column of numbers. Each one represented a moment when I'd believed I was being a good mother. Each one was a time I'd said yes when wisdom whispered no. My mouse hovered over the sum function. Did I really want to know? Did I want to see the total cost of my own denial? I clicked. The number appeared $67,000. $67,000. That's what unconditional love costs when someone is willing to bleed it dry. That's the price of being someone's mother when all they see is a source to be tapped. The clock read 1:47 a.m. 3 hours had passed like minutes. Time moves differently when you're excavating your own pain. I named the file family_ledger_october.xlsx. My finger hovered over save. Once I saved it, it would be real. Once I saved it, I couldn't unknow the sum total of my daughter's taking. I saved it. The file appeared in my documents folder, small and innocuous, holding 67,000 reasons why Robert had tried to warn me, why he'd seen what I'd refused to see. I should send it, attach it to an email, show her exactly what she owed, make her see the pattern. But not yet, because once I sent it, there would be no pretending anymore. Once I sent it, I'd be admitting that my own daughter had been treating me like a machine that dispensed money, and I'd been complicit by never checking the balance. I needed someone to tell me I wasn't losing my mind, someone to look at these numbers and confirm that I had a right to feel what I was feeling: betrayed, diminished, reduced to nothing more than a resource to be drained. I closed the laptop. The screen went dark, but the numbers glowed behind my eyelids. $67,000. The cost of being someone's mother when they've forgotten you're also someone's whole world. Dawn broke cold and gray, the kind of morning that matches a sleepless night. I'd spent the hours since closing my laptop staring at my ceiling, watching shadows shift. The numbers wouldn't stop scrolling through my mind. 67,000. 67,000. At 6:53 a.m., I reached for my phone. Carol answered on the second ring, voice thick with sleep. It's not even 7. Are you okay? The question broke something loose. No, I said, voice cracking. I'm not. I'm coming over. 40 minutes later, she was at my door with warm croissants and strong coffee. Carol had been my friend for 15 years, 59, a bookkeeper with sharp eyes and sharper instincts, the kind of person who could spot when someone she loved was falling apart. Show me, she said. I opened my laptop. The spreadsheet filled the screen, all those columns and rows, the sum glowing like an accusation. Carol pulled up a chair and went silent. Her fingers scrolled. Occasional sharp intakes of breath. I poured coffee and waited. Finally, she sat back. $67,000. And change. You're not crazy. Her voice was firm. You're finally seeing clearly. Something in me released. I hadn't realized how much I'd needed to hear that. I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't being petty. The numbers were real. My sister did something similar, Carol said, wrapping her hands around her mug. Not quite this much, but close. Bled our parents dry over 20 years. Always had an emergency. Always promised to pay them back. She paused. They never saw a dime. When I finally confronted her, she made me the villain. Said I was jealous, didn't understand struggle. What did you do? Cut her off completely. She met my eyes. Best decision I ever made. Hardest, too. I looked at the spreadsheet. I just want her to see it, to understand what she's done. She won't. Carol's words were gentle but absolute. People who exploit you don't like mirrors. When you show them their behavior, they don't see themselves. They see an attack. They'll twist it, make you the problem. So I just pretend this doesn't exist. I'm saying be prepared for her to make you the villain, and ask yourself, are you ready for that? I thought about last night's text. We need to talk about money, as if she had any right to that conversation. I don't know, I admitted. Part of me wants to send this right now. Part of me wants to delete it. But you did count, and now you know. Carol squeezed my hand. You can't unknow it. The question is, what are you going to do with the knowing? We sat in silence, morning sun finally breaking through, casting shadows across my kitchen table. She'll be angry, I said. Probably. She'll say I'm a terrible mother. Maybe. She might never speak to me again. Carol's expression softened. Is she really speaking to you now, or just calling when she needs something? The truth settled into my bones like the autumn chill. My phone buzzed, making us both jump. A text from my daughter. Mom, did you think about what I said? We really need that talk. Carol glanced at the screen, then at me. What are you going to do? I stared at the message. No, good morning. No, I hope you slept well. Just the assumption that I'd been waiting for her to need something else. I don't know, I said. But something was shifting inside me, hardening. But I'm not responding right now. Carol stood gathering her purse. I'm proud of you. Whatever you decide, I'm here. Call me anytime. After she left, I sat alone with my coffee, the spreadsheet, and my daughter's unanswered text. The house felt different. Quieter, but not empty. Waiting, but not desperate. I didn't know what I was going to do yet. But for the first time in years, I knew what I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to pretend anymore. The doorbell rang at exactly 10 o'clock the next morning. I'd been at my kitchen table, nursing my second coffee, still staring at yesterday's unanswered text. The spreadsheet was closed but not forgotten, every line item memorized, like a prayer I couldn't stop reciting. The doorbell rang again, insistent. Through the peephole, I saw Vivian and Kyle on my porch. For one foolish moment, I let myself believe they'd come to apologize. I opened the door. This is a surprise. Vivian's smile was bright but didn't reach her eyes. Hi, Mom. We were in the neighborhood. Can we come in? In the neighborhood? Right. They lived 20 minutes away and hadn't been here for 8 months. Of course, I stepped aside. Come in. They settled into my living room like actors taking their marks. Vivian perched on the sofa, her designer handbag placed carefully beside her. Kyle sat with casual confidence, his expensive watch catching the morning light. The irony wasn't lost on me. Coming to ask for money while wearing enough wealth to pay a month's rent? How have you been, Mom? Vivian's voice was warm, concerned, the voice she used when she wanted something. You look tired. Are you sleeping okay? I'm fine. How are the kids? They're great. Growing so fast. She showed me a phone picture. Sophia grinning, gap-toothed and beautiful. When was the last time I'd seen her in person? 4 months. 5. She's gotten so big, I said quietly. I know. Vivian tucked her phone away, glanced at Kyle. Some wordless communication passed between them. Mom, we need to talk about something serious. Here it was. Okay, I said. She leaned forward. Mom, we need your help. Financial help. My stomach tightened. Is everything all right? Are the kids? The kids are fine. Kyle cut in, voice smooth. But we're not. We're in a situation. What kind of situation? It's an emergency. Vivian's eyes were already glistening. Ready. Like she'd prepared them in the car. Medical bills. We're drowning, and if we don't pay soon, medical bills. I sat forward. For who? What happened? It's complicated, Mom. She dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. Some things we just can't get into all the details. But it's serious. Really serious. Something felt wrong. The vagueness, the rehearsed quality. But she was my daughter. She was crying. What kind of mother questions her child asking for help? The kind who just counted $67,000 worth of broken promises, a voice whispered. It sounded like Carol. But stronger was the voice that had been speaking since I first held Vivian. She needs you. She's your daughter. This is what mothers do. How much do you need? Vivian and Kyle exchanged another look. His hand found hers. $20,000, she said barely above a whisper. The number hit like a physical blow. 20,000. On top of $67,000 she already owed. $87,000 total. Nearly a year of Robert's salary. Nearly a year of someone's life converted into cash and poured into a vessel that never seemed to fill. 20,000, I repeated. I know it's a lot. What exactly are the medical bills for? I heard myself asking. Which doctor, which hospital? What's the diagnosis? Vivian's expression flickered. Just for a second, the tears paused. Mom, does it really matter? This is an emergency. We need help. Of course it matters. If you're dealing with something serious, I need to understand. Are you sick? Is it Kyle? I need details if you're asking for $20,000. Why do you need details? Her voice sharpened. The tears were drying now. Don't you trust me? The question hung in the air between us. Heavy and sharp. Don't you trust me? I wanted to say yes. Every fiber of my being, the part that had rocked her to sleep, bandaged her scraped knees, cheered at every school play, wanted to say, of course I trust you. But $67,000 worth of broken promises whispered something different. It's not about trust, I said carefully, keeping my voice steady. 20,000 is a significant amount. I just need to understand. Understand? My daughter's voice cracked, and suddenly she was on her feet, pacing the living room like a trapped animal. I can't believe this. I come here in crisis, and you're interrogating me. Her husband stood too, placing a hand on her shoulder. The gesture looked protective, rehearsed. We've always been there for you, he said, his tone gentle but pointed. Remember when you needed help with the roof last year? We didn't ask questions. The memory stabbed at me, but then another memory surfaced sharper. That was $200, I said quietly. And I haven't seen either of you in 8 months, because you're always like this. My daughter whirled to face me, tears streaming now. Always judging. Do you know how exhausting it is to be around someone who keeps score of everything? The accusation hit like a slap. Was I keeping score? The spreadsheet on my laptop suddenly felt like evidence of my own failings, not theirs. That's not fair, I managed. Isn't it? She sank back onto the couch, her voice dropping to something raw and wounded. If you really loved me, you wouldn't question this. You'd just help the way a mother is supposed to. There it was, the knife slipped neatly between my ribs. The way a mother is supposed to. As if love could be measured only in dollars handed over, without hesitation, no questions asked. I looked at her husband, hoping for reason for clarity. Instead, he shook his head slowly. "We thought family meant supporting each other," he said. "I guess we were wrong." The silence that followed felt like drowning. I could feel myself starting to cave, the weight of guilt pressing down on my chest. What if they were in real trouble? What if I said no and something terrible happened? But then I thought of Carol's words that morning. "People who exploit you don't like mirrors." "I need time to think," I said finally. "I want to help, but I need to understand the situation better." "Think." My daughter's voice rose again. "This is an emergency. We could lose everything." "Lose what exactly?" The question came out sharper than I intended. "What's the deadline? When do these bills need to be paid?" She glanced at her husband. For just a second, I saw it. The flicker of hesitation. The silent negotiation. "Soon," she said. "Very soon." "How soon? This week? This month? Does it matter?" She was crying again, but this time it felt different. Harder. "Either you're going to help us or you're not. That's what this comes down to." I felt my hands trembling. Every instinct screamed at me to fix this, to make it right, to be the mother she wanted me to be. But underneath that instinct was something else, something that had been building for years, maybe decades. "Give me a few days," I said. "I'll call you." Her face went cold. She stood slinging her designer bag over her shoulder with a sharp, angry motion. Her husband followed without a word. At the door, she turned back. "Don't take too long, Mom. Some things can't wait." The door closed behind them, not quite a slam, but close. I stood in the sudden silence of my living room, my legs shaking so badly I had to sit down. On the coffee table, my phone buzzed, a text from my daughter. "I hope you think about what you're doing. We needed you today, remember that." I set the phone down and stared at the wall, my heart pounding. The visit had lasted less than 40 minutes, but I felt like I'd been through a battle. And the worst part, I still didn't know what the emergency actually was. October 13th, 17 unread messages on my phone. I didn't open any of them. The coffee sat cold on the counter. The spreadsheet was still open on my laptop, $67,000 glowing in the total column. I couldn't sit still, couldn't think. By afternoon, I grabbed my jacket and walked, no destination in mind. 2 blocks from home, I saw Linda Hayes walking her golden retriever. "Haven't seen you in ages," she said brightly. "How's your daughter doing?" It was just polite conversation, small talk between neighbors. "That kitchen renovation is coming along beautifully," Linda continued. "The contractors have been there all week. Those granite countertops are going to be gorgeous." She's been sharing pictures everywhere. The world stopped. "Kitchen renovation." My voice sounded distant. "Oh yes, didn't she tell you?" I mumbled something, an excuse, a goodbye, and walked away on numb legs. Kitchen renovation. Not medical bills, not an emergency. Granite countertops. 20 minutes later, I was in my car driving a route I knew by heart. Her house sat at the end of Brookhaven Drive, the one I'd helped buy with a $30,000 loan. A contractor's truck filled the driveway. 2 men unloaded stone slabs, gray and white, veined expensive. Through the open garage, I saw new cabinets still boxed. My daughter stood on the porch, coffee in hand, inspecting the granite like she was choosing jewelry. Nothing about her looked like crisis. I drove home in silence. October 14th, I spent the day at my kitchen table staring at the spreadsheet. Not the numbers this time, the descriptions. Boutique inventory loan, $12,000. Carol had seen my daughter's online posts months later. 2 weeks in Cancun. I'd told myself it was a business trip, a trade show. I'd been so good at explaining things away. House down payment, $30,000. There had never been a closing problem. I'd asked once. She'd changed the subject so smoothly I barely noticed. Emergency car repair, $2,800. Her car had been fine, but her husband got a new watch. The pattern had always been there. I just hadn't wanted to see it. At 7 o'clock that evening, I sat in my office phone, heavy in my hand. I'd rehearsed a dozen versions of this conversation. Too angry, too weak, too accusatory. It didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I finally asked. I dialed. The phone rang 3 times. "Mom, what is it?" Her voice was sharp, irritated. Not high, not "I've been thinking about you," just that edge of annoyance. I took a deep breath. "I need to ask you something," I said quietly, "and I need the truth." Pause. "Okay." The $20,000. It's not for medical bills, is it? Silence. Because I saw the contractors at your house. I saw the granite being delivered. The silence stretched longer. Then, who told you that? That's not true. Not you misunderstood. Who told you? It doesn't matter who told me, I said, my voice steadier now. What matters is you looked me in the eye 2 days ago and lied. Mom. For countertops. The line crackled. I waited. 32 years I'd spent avoiding this conversation, swallowing my doubts, making excuses for her. Not anymore. So I'm asking you one more time, I said, heart pounding. What is the $20,000 really for? The question hung in the air between us. The question I'd been too afraid to ask for 32 years. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid anymore. The silence on the other end of the line lasted 3 seconds, maybe 4. Then, how dare you? Her voice wasn't loud yet, but I could hear the fury building beneath it like pressure in a kettle. How dare you spy on me? Who told you? Was it Linda, that nosy? I wasn't spying, I said, my voice still steady. I ran into a neighbor. She mentioned, of course she did. That busybody can't mind her own business, and neither can you. Now she was shouting. I pulled the phone slightly away from my ear. You're treating me like I'm a child, like I have to report every decision to you. I'm 32 years old. You asked me for $20,000 for medical bills. I said, keeping my tone even, but it's for a kitchen. It is a medical issue, she screamed. There's mold behind the cabinets. It's a health hazard. The contractor said it could make us sick. I closed my eyes. Even now, even caught, she was spinning it. Then why didn't you just say that? I asked quietly. Why the vague story about an emergency? Because I knew you'd do this. Her voice cracked fury and tears mixing together. I knew you'd judge me. You always judge me. That's why I stopped calling. That's why I can't stand talking to you. The words hit like fists. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I'm not judging you, I managed. I'm asking for honesty. No, you're controlling me. This is exactly why I keep my distance. You make everything about... There was a scuffling sound. Muffled voices. Then a different voice came on the line. Her husband. Listen, his voice was cold-clipped. You need to back off. I'm her mother. You're a checkbook. That's all you are to us. The words landed like a slap. Either you write the check and stay out of our business or you get out of our lives. Your choice. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. We don't need your judgment. We don't need your questions. We need your support. And if you can't give it, then we're done here. The line went dead. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. My hands were shaking. My whole body was shaking. I hit redial. The number you are trying to reach is not available. I tried again. The number you are trying to reach, blocked. They'd blocked my number. I don't know how long I sat there in the dark. The clock on the wall said 7:34 p.m., but it felt like hours had passed. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my own breathing. You're a checkbook. That's all you are to us. The words played on repeat in my head, each time cutting a little deeper. 32 years. I'd given her 32 years of my life. Rocked her when she was sick. Helped her with homework. Paid for her wedding, her house, her business dreams. Cared for her children while she built her life. And I was a checkbook. I thought about Robert. About his warning 3 years ago, the one I'd dismissed as him being overprotective, too harsh. Don't let her bleed you dry. He'd seen it. Even then, he'd seen it. I sat in the darkness of my living room, feeling something inside me shift and harden. The grief was still there, sharp and raw, but underneath it was something else. Clarity. I stood up, walked to my office, opened my laptop. The spreadsheet was still there. Williams Family Accounting. $67,000 in column F. But this time I wasn't looking at it with guilt or doubt. I was looking at it like evidence. I opened a new document and started typing. If they wanted to treat me like a bank, fine. Banks send invoices. At 11:43 p.m., I sat at my desk staring at the blank email. My daughter's address in the to I field. The spreadsheet Williams Family Accounting attached. 4 nights of work, $67,000 of truth reduced to a single file. I typed, before I consider your request for financial assistance, I'd like to discuss the outstanding balance you currently owe me. Please see the attached document. We can arrange a time to discuss terms for repayment. Best regards, Mom. Not love, Mom, just Mom. My hand shook as I moved the cursor to send. You're a checkbook. That's all you are to us. I clicked. The whoosh of the outgoing email felt like a door slamming shut. For 10 seconds, I felt powerful. Then the panic hit. What had I just done? But there was no unsend button. The email was out there now, carrying $67,000 worth of truth straight into her inbox. I closed the laptop. Didn't sleep. October 15th arrived with silence. By afternoon, I'd checked my phone 40 times. At 3:17 p.m., it finally rang. Unknown number. How dare you? Her scream was so loud I yanked the phone away. How could you do this? You're supposed to be my mother. The line went dead. 2 minutes later, another unknown number. I didn't answer. The voicemail, this is disgusting, you're trying to destroy me. 4 more calls came that afternoon, all different numbers. I stopped answering. October 16th, the calls stopped. The email started. 9:23 a.m. from a friend of my daughter's. Just wanted to check in. I heard you've been going through a tough time. An hour later, we're worried about you. Your daughter mentioned you've been struggling lately. Then from a distant cousin, your daughter called me. She said you've been having some memory issues. By evening, 7 emails, each one polite concerned, each one hinting at the same thing. Your daughter says you're not well. Maybe you should get checked out. I sat at my kitchen table and understood. If she couldn't make me look cruel, she'd make me look incompetent. October 17th, 8:14 a.m. Hey, it's Diane. My cousin from Florida. We exchanged Christmas cards, nothing more. I don't want to pry, but your daughter called yesterday. She said you've been having memory problems. She sounded really worried. Did she? I said quietly. She said you sent her some strange document asking her to pay you back. She's concerned you're getting confused. I'm not confused, Diane. I'm 62, not senile. I sent her an invoice because she asked me for $20,000 after already owing me $67,000. She lied about needing it for medical bills. It was for a kitchen renovation. When I confronted her, her husband called me a checkbook. Then they blocked my number. Silence. Then, oh, she made it sound like you were unwell. I know. She called half the family, didn't she? Yes? After we hung up, I sat in the morning light and felt something cold settle into my chest. My daughter wasn't defending herself. She was trying to erase me. If she couldn't make me the villain, she'd make me a woman losing her mind. Someone whose words couldn't be trusted. Someone whose accusations could be dismissed as confusion, the sad unraveling of an aging mind. But she'd made one mistake. She'd forgotten that checkbooks keep records, and I had 32 years of them. October 17th. My phone rang 43 times. I didn't answer once. I sat on the living room floor surrounded by photographs, her first day of kindergarten yellow dress tears when I left. I'd kissed her forehead, promised I'd be there when school ended. I was so proud of you that day. Her high school graduation, cap and gown diploma held high that bright smile. She'd hugged me, said, I couldn't have done this without you, Mom. Had she meant it, or had I been a means to an end even then? A baby photo, her sleeping in my arms, tiny fists curled against my chest. What did I do to create this? The question consumed me. Had I loved her too much? Not enough. Been too soft, too easy to exploit? Where had I failed so completely that she could look me in the eye and lie? Could let her husband call me a checkbook? Could tell everyone I was losing my mind? My chest tightened. Not emotional pain, physical, sharp squeezing pressure beneath my ribs. Robert's heart attack had started like this, tightness, pressure. I pressed both hands to my sternum and sat very still, waiting. It took 3 minutes to pass. October 18th blurred into darkness. I didn't eat, couldn't sleep. Just sat with those photographs replaying 32 years. The phone kept ringing. Carol's name flashed again and again. I let every call go to voicemail. What if she's right? What if I am losing my mind? October 19th, morning light crept around the closed curtains. I woke on the couch in yesterday's clothes. The living room was dim, stale. Tissues littered the coffee table. Photographs covered the floor. A key turned in the front door. Hello, it's me, Carol. the spare key I'd given her years ago. She stopped in the doorway, taking it all in me, unwashed on the couch, the scattered photos, the darkness. "I've been calling for 2 days," she said quietly. "I know." She sat beside me, didn't speak, just sat. Finally, what happened? "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. "Do what?" "Any of it." She told everyone I'm senile. What if she's right? What if I really am losing my mind? "Stop." Her voice was sharp. "Look at me." I couldn't. "Look at me." I forced my eyes up. "You are not crazy. You're not confused. You are not losing your mind. Then why does it hurt this much? Because you're grieving the daughter you thought you had. The one who loved you, who was honest. She's gone. You're mourning her. That's not crazy. That's human." The tears came sudden, overwhelming sobs. Carol pulled me into her arms and held me. When I finally stopped, she stood and pulled me to my feet. "Bathroom, shower, now!" Her tone left no room for argument. Then food. And we're opening every curtain because this cave isn't helping. 20 minutes later, I sat at my kitchen table, clean and dressed. Toast I couldn't taste. Tea I didn't want. Carol had opened every curtain. Sunlight poured in, harsh and bright. She sat across from me, expression serious. "What your daughter is doing telling people you're senile, that's not just cruel. It's strategic." "What do you mean?" "If she convinces people you're mentally incompetent, she can challenge anything you do. Any accusations, any legal actions. She could even try to get guardianship, take control of your finances, your medical decisions." Carol leaned forward. "This isn't just emotionally dangerous. It's legally dangerous." The toast turned to ash in my mouth. "You need a lawyer." "I don't know any." "I do." She picked up my phone, scrolled through her contacts. "Elder law attorney. She's tough. She'll know exactly what to do." Carol turned the phone toward me. A name glowed on the screen. I stared at the letters. They didn't register yet. Didn't mean anything. "Call her," Carol said. "Today." I looked at the name again. It meant nothing to me in that moment. But it would change everything. I arrived at the law office 20 minutes early. The waiting room had soft gray walls and leather chairs. A receptionist offered coffee. My hands were shaking too badly to hold the cup. I sat clutching a manila folder against my chest. Spreadsheet, printouts, texts, screenshots, transcribed voicemails, emails from relatives forwarding my daughter's claims that I was struggling and confused. 32 years of being a mother reduced to evidence. At 10 o'clock, a woman appeared in the doorway. Mid-40s, sharp gray suit, dark hair pulled back. Her handshake was firm, her expression both professional and kind. "I'm Rebecca Stone. Come on back." Her office was lined with law books and case files. She poured 2 glasses of water, sat across from me, and folded her hands on the desk. "Tell me everything." So I did. The 9:47 p.m. text asking for money. The $20,000 request for medical bills that was actually for granite countertops. The $67,000 spreadsheet documenting 5 years of unpaid loans and childcare. The phone call where my son-in-law told me I was just a checkbook. The invoice I sent in response. The explosion that followed. And then the smear campaign. Emails from friends, calls from distant relatives. My daughter telling everyone I had memory problems, that I was losing my mind. Rebecca listened without interrupting, took careful notes. When I finished, she set down her pen. "This is textbook financial exploitation," she said quietly. "And the defamation publicly claiming you're mentally incompetent, that's actionable." "I don't want to sue her, I just want it to stop." "I understand. But first, we need to protect you." She leaned forward. "We have options. A cease and desist letter, civil action for repayment. If there's evidence of fraud, we may need law enforcement involvement." My stomach twisted at the word fraud. "Let's start with information gathering." Rebecca turned to her computer. "When was the last time you checked your credit report?" "Maybe a year ago. Why, let's pull it now." She navigated to a credit monitoring site, walked me through identity verification, previous addresses, security questions. The report loaded on screen. Rebecca's expression shifted. Subtle, but I caught it, a tightening around her eyes. "What?" My voice came out sharp. "What is it?" She turned the monitor toward me. There in black and white. Credit card account. Opened. September 8th, 2024. Current balance $15,000. Billing address 2847 Brookhaven Drive, Atlanta, Georgia. Brookhaven Drive, my daughter's address. The house I'd helped her buy with a $30,000 loan. I didn't open that card, I whispered. My lips felt numb. I would never... I know. Rebecca's voice was gentle but absolutely firm. Someone used your personal information without your consent. Your name, date of birth, social security number. This is identity theft. Under federal law, that's a felony. The room tilted. $15,000. Added to the $67,000 she already owed me. $82,000 total. My daughter had stolen my identity. I pressed my hand to my mouth, couldn't speak. Rebecca pushed the water glass closer. Waited. When I finally looked up, her expression was compassionate but serious. I need to ask you something. Think carefully before you answer. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Do you want justice or do you want to protect your daughter, Hisai? The question hung in the air between us. Because if we report the identity theft, if we press charges, there will be criminal consequences. For her, possibly for her husband too. Rebecca held my gaze. You may not be able to have both. Justice and a relationship with her. I thought about the phone call. You're just a checkbook. That's all you are to us. I thought about 8 months of silence. The lies, the manipulation, the smear campaign designed to discredit me before I could speak the truth. I thought about the photographs scattered on my living room floor. The baby I'd rocked to sleep. The kindergartner in the yellow dress who'd cried when I left. The graduate who'd hugged me and said she couldn't have done it without me. That daughter was gone. Had been gone for longer than I'd wanted to admit. Then I heard Robert's voice clear as day. Don't let her bleed you dry, sweetheart. I looked at Rebecca Stone. I want justice, I said. My voice was quiet, but it didn't shake. Even if it costs me my daughter. I've already lost her anyway. Rebecca nodded slowly. She didn't look surprised. Didn't try to talk me out of it. Okay, she said, reaching for a legal pad. Then let's get to work. Friday, October 25th. Rebecca's cease and desist letter was sent via certified mail. The tracking showed it was signed for at 2:47 p.m. Saturday morning, the doorbell rang. I was in the kitchen when I heard it. Through the front window, I saw Kyle standing on the porch, arms crossed, jaw tight. My stomach dropped. I walked to the door slowly, slid the chain latch into place before opening it 3 inches. Leave, I said. He held up a stack of papers. This is a cease and desist letter. You've been defaming us, spreading lies. Stop or we'll sue you for slander. I looked at the papers through the gap. Plain white printer paper. No law firm letterhead. Generic template language. Fake. That's not a real legal document. Kyle's jaw clenched. You're destroying our reputation. We'll sue you for everything. I haven't said anything that isn't true. You think you're smart hiring a lawyer? His voice rose. You're nobody, Dorothy. Just a lonely old woman making up stories. I kept my voice steady. I have a lawyer, and I have evidence. Evidence of what gifts you regret giving. The credit card wasn't a gift, I said quietly. That's fraud. His face changed a flicker of panic before the anger returned twice as hard. You gave us permission, he shouted. You're senile, you forgot. There it was, an admission. He just confessed they opened the card. Not denial, just an excuse. From his expression, Kyle realized his mistake. This conversation is over. Leave my property. You're going to regret this. His voice dropped cold and deliberate. You have no idea what you've started. He stepped closer to the door. I moved back instinctively. Leave, now. Kyle slammed his hand against the door frame hard enough to rattle the chain, then turned and walked down the steps to his car. He sat there for a long moment, engine running, staring at my house before finally driving away. Across the yard, Linda Hayes stood on her porch with her golden retriever. She'd been outside the whole time. She'd seen and heard everything. She caught my eye and nodded. I called Rebecca immediately, my hands shaking. Did you record it? No, but my neighbor was outside. She heard everything. Good, get a written statement from Linda today. A pause. Now check your credit report. Right now. I pulled up the monitoring site on my laptop. 3 new inquiries, all within the past 48 hours. A credit card company, a personal loan application, a department store card. They were trying to open more accounts in my name, even knowing I was onto them. Maybe because they knew. Rebecca, I whispered. 3 new inquiries. They're trying to... I see them. Her voice was calm but cold. That's escalation. Vivian and Kyle are moving fast before you can stop them. Freeze your credit immediately. And document everything that just happened, what time Kyle arrived, what he said, all of it. Okay. There was a pause, then, get ready, Dorothy. Tomorrow morning we're going to Vivian's house. My heart stopped. What? I'm filing a police report this afternoon. Identity theft fraud, criminal harassment. An officer will meet us there tomorrow morning at 9 to take statements and collect evidence. Rebecca's tone was absolutely steady. This ends tomorrow. Tomorrow, I repeated. 9 a.m. I'll pick you up at 8:30. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table staring at my phone. Tomorrow the police would knock on Vivian's door. Tomorrow this would become real in a way I couldn't take back. I thought about her as a little girl. The yellow dress on her first day of school. The graduation hug. Then I thought about the credit card. The lies. Kyle's threats on my doorstep. $82,000, 3 new credit inquiries. I stood up, walked to my desk, and opened a document. I started typing every word Kyle had said, every detail I could remember. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Monday morning, October 28th, 9 a.m. Rebecca picked me up at 8:30. A police cruiser followed us through quiet suburban streets to Vivian's house. As we pulled up to the curb, I could see through the front window, the kitchen, new cabinets, gleaming granite countertops. Finished. $20,000 of lies made visible. My hands were shaking. Rebecca touched my arm. Stay calm, Dorothy, she said. Let me lead. Just answer when asked. Officer Rodriguez stepped from the cruiser, mid-40s, calm professional presence. He nodded at me. Ready. I wasn't, but I nodded anyway. We walked up the driveway together. Rebecca rang the doorbell. Vivian opened the door. She was smiling until she saw the officer. The color drained completely from her face. What's going on? Her eyes darted to me wide with panic. Mom, what did you do? Ma'am, we need to come inside, Officer Rodriguez said calmly. We have questions about credit card fraud. Fraud. Her voice went high-strained. I don't know what. Inside, please. She stepped back. We entered the house I'd helped buy with $30,000 never repaid. Kyle appeared from the hallway, his face darkening immediately. What the hell is this? Rebecca pulled a folder from her briefcase and opened it. These are credit card statements for an account opened September 8th in Dorothy's name without her knowledge or consent. The billing address is this residence. The signature doesn't match hers. She laid papers on the dining table. We also have documentation of 3 additional attempts to open accounts in her name within 72 hours. Officer Rodriguez stepped forward. Do either of you recognize these account numbers? Vivian's face crumpled. I didn't mean to. The billing address is your home, Rebecca said coldly. This is harassment, Kyle snapped. I found my voice. Just tell the truth, Vivian. Vivian looked at Kyle, then back at me, tears filling her eyes. It was him. The words burst out of her. He said you'd never notice. He said you owed us anyway after everything we did for you. Shut your mouth! Kyle's face went red veins standing out. Sir, you need to calm down. Officer Rodriguez warned, his hand moving toward his belt. Vivian was sobbing now. Mom, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to. We were desperate. The business failed and we had bills. You stupid... One more word, Officer Rodriguez said sharply. I stared at Vivian, at the tears streaming down her face, smearing her mascara. Real or another performance, I couldn't tell anymore. Desperate enough to steal from your own mother, my voice shook, to tell everyone I was senile so they wouldn't believe me. She didn't answer, just cried harder. Officer Rodriguez turned to me, his expression neutral. Dorothy, do you want to press charges? The question hung in the air. I looked at Vivian, 32 years old, mother of 2, standing in her renovated kitchen with tears on her face. For 1 second, I hesitated. Then I remembered. The spreadsheet. $67,000, the lies about medical emergencies, the phone call where Kyle called me a checkbook, the smear campaign, the 3 new credit inquiries, even after being caught. Sophia asking why Grandma didn't love them anymore because that's what they'd told her. I looked at Officer Rodriguez. "Yes," I said clearly. "I want to press charges." Kyle exploded. "You're destroying your own daughter." "Sir, step back now," the officer commanded. Rebecca gathered her papers. Officer Rodriguez spoke quietly with Vivian about questioning and legal representation. Vivian looked at me, mascara streaked. "Mom, please." I turned away. Minutes later, I stood on the sidewalk. Officer Rodriguez escorted Vivian to his cruiser. She wasn't handcuffed, not yet, but she climbed into the back seat. Through the window, she looked directly at me. I expected tears, regret. Instead, I saw calculation, like she was already planning her next move. The car pulled away. Rebecca stood beside me. "You okay?" I took a breath. "I thought this was over." "It's not," she said quietly. "This is just the beginning." I didn't understand what she meant then. I didn't know the real battle hadn't started yet. If you're still here with me, comment 12 below so I know you're walking this road with me. And tell me honestly if you were standing there watching your own child get into that police car. Would you press charges, or would you stop everything and try to protect them one more time? Because what happened next, I never saw coming. And one more thing. Parts of what follows include dramatized elements for storytelling purposes. Some details may not reflect real events exactly. If this kind of story isn't for you, this is your moment to step away. Tuesday, November 3rd, day 25. The legal envelope was in my mailbox. Thick official from a law firm I didn't recognize. For 6 seconds, I thought it was about my daughter's fraud case. Then I read the header, "Petition for Emergency Guardianship." My legs went weak. I sat on the steps, hands shaking. The claims were listed in legal language. Severe memory loss and confusion. Unable to manage finances, making baseless accusations. Delusional behavior regarding family relationships. Requires legal guardian for financial assets and medical decisions. My daughter was trying to have me declared mentally incompetent. If she succeeded, she'd control everything. My house, my accounts, $400,000, medical decisions, everything. She couldn't steal it, so she was making it legal. I called Rebecca, barely able to speak. "I got a petition she's trying to—" "I know, I received notice this morning." Rebecca's voice was calm. "It's desperate. She's facing fraud charges, so she's flipping the narrative. Making you look incompetent so your accusations won't hold up. Can she do this? She can file, she won't win. This was her biggest mistake. She just gave us the opportunity to put everything on record in front of a judge." The next 18 days blurred together in focused preparation. Days 26 and 27, cognitive assessment. A neurologist ran 3 hours of memory tests, reasoning puzzles, decision-making scenarios. Results: cognitive function well within normal range. Excellent memory recall. Sound judgment. The doctor was direct. "You're sharper than most 40-year-olds I test. Nothing is wrong with your mind." Day 28, financial audit. A forensic accountant reviewed 5 years of records, every transaction documented. His report: financial management is meticulous and appropriate. No evidence of confusion or impaired judgment. Days 29 through 35, character witnesses. Carol compiled a list: neighbors, former colleagues from the real estate office, book club members, the community center coordinator. Linda Hayes agreed to testify about the confrontation she'd witnessed at my door. My former boss wrote a detailed letter. Others followed. Days 36 through 42. Rebecca's strategy shifted to offense. "We're not just defending you," she said, papers spread across her conference table. "We're attacking. We lay out everything. The complete timeline: text messages, voicemails, credit fraud, 3 additional attempts, fake cease and desist threats at your door. Every lie. We show the judge exactly why she filed this. Not because you're incompetent, because she's desperate and cornered." At night, the weight crushed me. My daughter was trying to take everything, not just money, my autonomy, my right to make my own decisions, my freedom. Carol found me one evening, staring at the petition, crying. "She really thinks she can do this," I whispered. "She already tried to take everything. This is just her making it legal after getting caught." "I won't let her win." "I know you won't." Wednesday evening, November 20th, day 42. "Tomorrow, the hearing at 10. Rebecca called. "You ready?" I thought about the test results, the audit, the witness statements, 18 days of preparation. Yes, I said steadily, I'm ready. Good, get sleep. Tomorrow we end this. After hanging up, I sat in the quiet house. Tomorrow I would face my daughter in court. I would prove I wasn't incompetent, wasn't delusional, wasn't confused. Tomorrow I would win. But tonight I had to do something that would break my heart one more time. I picked up my phone and scrolled to a number I'd been avoiding for weeks. There was someone I needed to see before tomorrow. Someone small and innocent who deserved to hear the truth from me, no matter how much it hurt to tell her. Wednesday, November 20th, day 42, 3:15 p.m. I parked across from Willow Creek Elementary School and watched the front doors. This was a risk. If my daughter found out, she'd be furious. But I needed to see Sophia one more time before tomorrow. The bell rang. Children poured out backpacks bouncing. Then I saw her. 7-year-old blonde pigtails, pink backpack. My granddaughter. I walked toward her and her teacher. Ms. Parker recognized me. It's been so long, I was wondering if I could say hello to Sophia, just for a minute. Ms. Parker glanced at Sophia, then back at me. Something in my face told her this mattered. Of course, 5 minutes. Sophia looked up and saw me. Her face lit up, then confusion clouded it. Grandma. We walked to a stone bench in the school garden. Autumn leaves drifted down around us. Sophia sat beside me, hands folded in her lap. Where have you been? She asked quietly. Mom said you didn't want to see us anymore. The words hit like a punch. Tears sprang to my eyes. That's not true, sweetheart, not true at all. Mom said you were too busy with new friends, that you didn't have time for us. I wiped my eyes. I love you. I have always loved you. She nodded, but her eyes were uncertain. Then why don't you visit? My little brother keeps asking about you. My throat tightened. It's grown-up stuff, complicated. Mom cries a lot now. Sophia said, her voice small. She says it's your fault. My heart shattered. My daughter was using these children as weapons, telling them I'd abandoned them, weaponizing their confusion and hurt. Are you and Mom fighting? Sophia asked. Sort of. Can't you say sorry and hug? That's what my teacher says. I smiled through tears. It's more complicated than that, sweetheart. I pulled a silver locket from my purse. Inside was a photo of us from her 5th birthday. Keep this, I said, pressing it into her hand. And remember something very important. No matter what anyone says, I love you. Can you remember that? She looked at the locket, then at me. Are you going away? The tears came harder. I don't know. But if I do, it's not because of you. Never because of you. She nodded. I pulled her into a hug, holding tight, memorizing the feeling, the weight of her small body, the smell of her shampoo. Ms. Parker appeared, gesturing gently. Time was up. I released Sophia and stood wiping my face. Will I see you again? I hope so, sweetheart, someday. I turned and walked away quickly. Behind me, her voice. Grandma, I love you too. I didn't turn around. If I looked back, I'd fall apart. I made it to my car before the sobs came. I sat with my hands over my face, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. For everything I'd lost. For what my daughter had become. For those children caught in the middle. When I finally stopped, I was exhausted and hollow. I wiped my face and looked at the small photo taped to my dashboard. Robert, smiling from 10 years ago. Tomorrow, I whispered to his picture. Tomorrow I fight for both of us. That night I didn't sleep. Not from fear, from clarity. My daughter had crossed every line. The lies, manipulation, fraud, threats, all terrible. But using her own children as weapons, making them believe I didn't love them, that was unforgivable. Tomorrow morning at 10, I would walk into that courtroom. Tomorrow I would tell the truth. Tomorrow I would fight. Thursday, November 21st, day 43, 9 a.m., Fulton County Courthouse. I walked up the steps with Rebecca and Carol. Inside, Vivian sat with Kyle and their attorney. She wore a conservative dress, the picture of a concerned daughter. The judge entered 60s, gray hair, sharp eyes. We stood. The hearing began. Vivian's attorney went first. Dorothy Clark has been exhibiting severe cognitive decline, forgetting family gatherings, making baseless accusations, delusional behavior toward family members. Vivian took the stand, tears streaming. Fake. She's not herself anymore. She needs help. I'm terrified she'll hurt herself. Kyle added, We've tried to be there for Dorothy. She won't listen to reason. Rebecca stood for cross-examination. Ms. Clark, when did you last visit your mother? Vivian hesitated. A few months ago. 8 months. And did you open a credit card in Dorothy's name without her knowledge? Objection. Overruled. Answer the question. Vivian's face went white. That's not what this... Answer, please. Silence. Our turn. The neurologist testified, Dorothy Clark's cognitive function is excellent for her age. Sharp memory, sound judgment. The forensic accountant, Ms. Clark's financial records are meticulous. No signs of impairment whatsoever. Rebecca presented the credit report. Identity theft. Card opened September 8th in Dorothy's name. Billing address petitioner's home. 3 additional fraudulent attempts within 72 hours. Oh, Carol testified, I've known Dorothy for 30 years. She's not confused. She's finally seeing clearly. Rebecca played the voicemails. Vivian screaming threats, Kyle's insults, the fake cease and desist. Then my turn. I took the stand and swore to tell the truth. Rebecca asked, Dorothy, why do you believe your daughter filed this petition? I looked at the judge. Because I said no. Because I documented the $67,000 she owed me. Because I reported identity theft when she opened cards in my name. I took a breath. Your honor loving someone doesn't mean letting them destroy you. I spent 32 years being what I thought was a perfect mother. I gave everything. When I had nothing left, Vivian tried to take my identity, my credit, now my freedom. My voice was steady. I'm not confused. I'm a mother who learned that unconditional love doesn't mean unlimited exploitation. I'm done apologizing for protecting myself. Silence. Vivian shot up. You were supposed to help me. You're my mother. Ma'am, sit down, the judge said firmly. She's destroying. Ma'am, sit. Vivian collapsed sobbing. The judge looked at the evidence, then at me, then at Vivian. Petition for guardianship is denied. I find no evidence of incapacity whatsoever. Mrs. Dorothy Clark is of sound mind and fully capable of managing her own affairs. She turned to Vivian, her expression cold. Ms. Clark, I am forwarding this entire file to the district attorney's office for criminal prosecution. The evidence of identity theft, fraud, and elder abuse is substantial and deeply troubling. The judge's voice hardened. You should prepare yourself to face criminal charges, which may include prison time as well as civil restitution for all damages caused to your mother. This court will also award Mrs. Dorothy Clark $8,000 in legal fees payable within 90 days. Gavel down. The courtroom was silent. The judge spoke to me quietly. Mrs. Clark, I'm sorry you had to go through this. No parent should have to prove their sanity to their own child. In the hallway, Vivian waited, face pale and cold. I will never forgive you, she hissed. I stopped, met her eyes. Good Vivian, because I'm done asking permission to exist. I walked out into November sunshine with Rebecca and Carol beside me. That night, I sat alone with new locks and old memories. If this was winning, why did it still hurt? The day after the hearing, a locksmith came to my house. New deadbolts, new keys, a security system with cameras at every entrance. The technician asked if I'd had a break-in. I told him no, just taking precautions. The restraining order was filed that afternoon. 500 feet. My daughter couldn't come near my home, my bank, the places I volunteered. I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. The first restitution payment arrived 2 weeks later. $200, $23,000 to go. The district attorney's office moved forward with fraud charges. My daughter's attorney called Rebecca asking if I would consider dropping the case if my daughter apologized. Rebecca asked me. No, I said. Some prices have to be paid. Thanksgiving came. November 28th. I spent it alone. Turkey breast for one, mashed potatoes, green beans, nothing fancy. But it was peaceful. I sat at my small table with Robert's photograph propped against the salt shaker. I finally listened to you, I told him. Took me long enough. I hope you're proud. The house was quiet, safe, mine. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. 6 months later, May. I stood in front of 40 seniors at the Atlanta Community Center, my hands only slightly shaking. "My name is Dorothy," I began, "and I'm here to tell you that you're not alone." I told them my story. Not all of it, just enough. The exploitation, the manipulation, the moment I finally said no. "You don't set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm," I said. "Not even if that someone is your own child. Love doesn't require you to destroy yourself." After 3 women approached me with tears in their eyes. 2 men shook my hand. An elderly woman hugged me and whispered, "Thank you. I needed to hear that." I volunteered with the organization every other week after that. My life transformed slowly, like spring arriving after a brutal winter. I traveled to Savannah in March, Charleston in April, places Robert and I had always talked about visiting but never did. I joined a book club, redecorated my home office with brighter colors, yellow curtains, new plants, a reading chair by the window. The 3 a.m. panic attacks stopped. The constant knot in my stomach loosened. I smiled more. One morning in May, a letter arrived with careful looping handwriting. The return address was Willow Creek Elementary School. My heart stopped. I opened it with shaking hands. "Dear Grandma, I found your address from school records. I'm 9 now. I miss you. Mom says I'm not supposed to talk to you, but I'm writing this secretly and giving it to my teacher to mail. I still have the locket. I look at it every night before bed. I remember what you said, that you love me, no matter what. Are you okay? I hope you're okay. Love, Sophia." I sat at my kitchen table and cried, not from sadness this time, from hope. I wrote back immediately, addressing it to the school. "My darling Sophia, I love you. I have always loved you. When you turn 18, my door will be wide open. Until then, know that I'm thinking of you every single day. Keep the locket safe. Grandma." On a bright Saturday afternoon, I drove to the cemetery. Robert's headstone was warm in the sunshine. I laid spring flowers, daffodils, and tulips at its base. "I learned something," I told him. "Family isn't just blood, it's respect, it's boundaries. It's love that doesn't ask you to disappear." The wind moved through the trees, gentle and kind. I felt him listening. That evening, I sat at my computer as golden light poured through the window. An email notification appeared. Another woman, another story, another cry for help. My son keeps asking for money. I don't know what to do. I feel so alone. I opened a new message and began typing. "Dear friend, let me tell you about boundaries. I'm 63 years old. I'm no longer anyone's checkbook. I'm a survivor, an advocate, a grandmother in waiting. And most importantly, I'm free. So that's my story. Looking back now, I can see all the warning signs I ignored for years, the broken promises, the manipulation, the way love became a weapon instead of a gift. Here's what I learned through all this pain. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's survival. Saying no to someone you love doesn't make you cruel. Sometimes it makes you sane. Family drama stories like mine aren't rare. They're happening in houses all across this country behind closed doors, where good people are being bled dry by the ones they love most. If you're living through something similar, please hear me. You are not obligated to fund someone else's lifestyle. You are not required to sacrifice your peace, your health, or your future because someone shares your DNA. God gave you a life to steward, not to surrender. These grandma stories, stories of exploitation and heartbreak, they don't have to end in destruction. Mine didn't. Yours doesn't have to either. I've heard so many grandma stories from women at the community center, stories just like mine, and I've watched them find freedom when they finally said enough. Don't be like I was for 32 years. Don't wait until you're standing in a courtroom proving your sanity to your own child. Set the boundaries now. Protect yourself now. Love yourself enough to say no. Family drama stories taught me that unconditional love doesn't mean unlimited access. These family drama stories we share, they're not just entertainment. They're warnings. They're roadmaps. Grandma stories like mine prove that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. I'm 63 years old and I'm finally free. You can be too. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone in your life might need to hear it. Leave a comment about how you set boundaries in your own family. And remember, you're not alone. Final note. This content contains dramatized storytelling elements for educational purposes. Some details are fictionalized, but the lessons and messages are entirely valuable. If this style isn't for you, that's okay. Please seek content that better fits your needs.